It's just weird. He's out there signaling the right things, moving the Overton window right. The guy tweeted about Hart Seller, and yet he's doing and saying all of these things. It's like he's not even the person putting his Truth Social posts out. He can't keep moving the Overton window right and then governing by moving it left. It's not going to work.
And, it's all these contradictions, too. Immigration, I think, is one of the president's strongest angles. Points to all of this, though. He's done a great job on that. DHS, Chrissy Noem, I think, is doing a good job, too, over there. She's got a great team of people working behind her. He struck a lot of people the wrong way when he went out there and announced this plan to bring in 600,000 Chinese students, what they call them, but they're actually CCP spies. And I want to keep highlighting that, not using the same verbiage as they want us to use. But, and you guys recently polled on this too, and 43% of likely U.S. voters support the proposal, which I thought was kind of concerning in all of this. What did you make away from all of this?
Well, this is like another one of those things where you run the top line poll and, okay, you could get the result you want. And this is what most people in Washington, D.C., and they do it, for instance, with H-1Bs too. If you just say, well, should we take people who are talented from the rest of the world? People are like, oh, yeah, sure, we should do that. But then if you actually dig into the underlying thing, you're like, well, it's probably going to get abused. Like people, if they learn more about it, probably don't like it. First thing that stood out to me is that, yes, it was split. It was basically 43 to 44. But there was no party signal at all, which is weird because we also said that it was a Trump thing. And so normally when you do that, the Republican numbers are off the chart, but Republicans, only 44% of them supported this, only 15% strongly supported. And, I think, again, I'm the kind of person that might be pushing back on this. I was in higher education, and we certainly had a CCP asset in our learning team at Wharton. And the way that this works is that over there, if you're ambitious and you're climbing the ladder and you're going to go to the U.S. to attend a school, you're almost certainly a part of the CCP. Like you can literally ask the AI, like Grok will tell you that 30–40% of the people probably coming over here are card-carrying members, like literally have it on their resume or whatever. But then we said, okay, well, Trump has said that the number of Chinese students were reduced. Many colleges would go out of business. Should the number of Chinese students be reduced, even if it causes some colleges to go out of business? Because he said to Laura Ingraham, well, we can't have these colleges going out of business while there was riots at a Turning Point USA event in Berkeley at the same time on TV. And people say yes, 39% to 37%. Republicans say yes, 58% to 24%. So Republicans are over 2-1, like well over 2-1 in favor of seeing colleges shut down if it means reducing the number of Chinese students. And this gets back to, again, all these policies that he's pushing. He has done good. And you can tell that somebody somewhere in the administration knows what they're supposed to be doing. But this is a bailout for colleges. Let's call it what it is. And you know what else? I was doing some research, his H-1B fee. Now, I think Project Firewall is great. They're going to go after like the H-1B program that is stealing the very best jobs that Americans have. In my opinion, this is like the top 3 thing that is screwing over people under 40. And it's something that Donald Trump should understand, which I don't think he does. He should understand this more than anything else, especially because it appears increasingly that his administration's ties with India are going to be under more scrutiny. But when they came out with that fee, a lot of people said, oh my God, like Donald Trump is actually going to go after H-1Bs. But if you look at the fine print, what it does is that it carves out the student path for the visas. And so all it really is doing is it's taking all these people from India who would just come straight over, charging a fee on them so that they get pushed through the school system. So literally what you're going to see next year when this fee kicks in is you're just going to see a whole bunch of increase in applications to crackerjack master's degree mills in the U.S. And quite frankly, it'll probably be even harder for some U.S. students to get into STEM programs because they're going to be flooded with Indians who are coming over here so they don't have to pay the fee. And that gets back to the third question, student set. Should qualified American high school students get a priority for admissions over foreign students? Like, how hard is this? And the answer is yes, 71% to 17%. So it's just weird. He's out there signaling the right things, moving the Overton window right. The guy tweeted about Hart Seller, and yet he's doing and saying all of these things. It's like he's not even the person putting his Truth Social posts out. He can't keep moving the Overton window right and then governing by moving it left. It's not going to work.
Yeah. And I think the people are catching on to it too. I think that's where a lot of these frustrations come from, Mark. And it's really just, It's frustrating to sit back and watch, and I don't see much getting done. And I actually just found this on, and I know I didn't give you a heads up on this one, but this was on your website, so I'll lay it out now. But you guys actually just put up a poll last week, and this one's really, really good in regards to election fraud. The president saying, again, this was a top priority for him. I haven't seen anything done to combat the election fraud that's taking place. But this one specifically is about the voting machines and whether or not Americans trust it. And interesting enough, 63% of likely U.S. voters are concerned with the electronic voting systems may allow votes to be changed remotely through the internet connections during voting. I mean, that's a massive, massive number. And again, he's not even touching this issue. Now, I don't understand why we're not touching it. Tina Peters trying to sound the alarm on all of this, and she's still sitting right now in state prison in Colorado. And sadly, all he does is post Truth Social posts about free Tina Peters, but they're not pulling any federal funding from Colorado. They're not really trying to put Colorado state officials' feet to the fire on freeing Tina Peters. They're just throwing it out there, and nothing's being done about the election machines either. What do you make of it?
Yeah, 100%. And then we also have a massive naval flotilla surrounding Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we haven't really pulled on Venezuela. The numbers aren't out yet. I think we're getting them back today.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what's necessarily affecting his approval rating, but if it were, there's a really easy solution, and that is tie it to election integrity. If it really is about election integrity, tie it to election integrity, because we've pulled on this. We're the only ones at all that pulled on this, and it got us on a CIA list, right? And we've done dozens and dozens of these question sets, and they've proved overwhelmingly that Americans actually do believe the big lie that our elections are completely corrupt, and they don't trust the machines at all. They think they're connected to the internet. That's not a good thing when the actual companies that administer these things say that they're incapable of them. And so when you have this kind of cognitive dissonance, this complete lie, this where the system says, no, it's this way, and everybody in America is like, no, we're pretty sure you're just full of crap. Like, these things need to be resolved. And this is what was happening everywhere. Every single federal agency was corrupted under the Biden administration. I've been harping on this. We need to see brutal government reform. That includes the election systems, but you have everybody out there like attacking Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Well, you haven't reformed the FBI, guys. And they say, well, look at all this stuff we tweeted. Well, I just did a poll, and 83% of Trump voters still think the FBI and CIA and other government agencies need major reforms. So whatever they've put out, it hasn't been enough, and that includes with elections. But the weird thing is that Donald Trump will still tweet impotently about Tina Peters being in jail. Well, it's like, I've seen many, many measures in our polling that people are kind of like done with following the rules. Like, we have lots of people ready to impeach judges, arrest people involved in Arctic frost, arrest people in the auto pen scandal. We had a pretty big signal of people who wanted to like ignore judges, including people under 40. We even have people under 40 who are ready to give governance over to an advanced AI. Like, that's kind of where we're at right now. And the Truth Socials are not helping it. I think it's going to emerge potentially as people getting to a point where they're willing to call it a pattern of Donald Trump jangling the keys. And that would be a really horrible place, because I don't know how you can rebuild the momentum, recover your approval rating if there's that kind of like emperor with no clothes moment. And that's what I'm afraid of, because I think this movement's important. I think it needs to continue, but there needs to be better leadership.
Yeah, and Mark, we're less than a year in, so I guess there is time for a turnaround. I just don't see that there is a desire for a turnaround. We do see reports that in the new year, this is mainstream reports, so I don't really trust it, but they say that there's going to be some type of big changes taking place. We saw Andrew Bailey get shifted over to the FBI as a position that we never seen brought on before, the co-deputy director. And so according to people who have reached out to me, that's because he's going to be preparing to take over at the AG's office for Pam Bondi. But again, I mean, the president just kind of not pushing back enough and pushing back on key issues. I mean, when his picks aren't getting confirmed by Senate Republicans, he was so kind and just said, oh, well, it's going to cost me too much political capital. But then whenever he had the option to go after, Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene, he went after her with all full force, calling her a traitor. And so now we have all these softies, including Pam Bondi, who I sat there and watched her confirmation hearing and said, ooh, well, they're not really pushing back much on Pam Bondi, which probably isn't a good sign. And, Kash Patel also, I would say, had it pretty easy getting confirmed as well. For me, that was the clear indicator that this wasn't going to work out. And I was a little worried, but I mean, now we're several months into this, and the changes that need to happen, Mark, aren't happening. And we just had a press conference last week where they all took turns tapping each other on the back and saying, great job, but they didn't show us any actual hard evidence. And then I was told when I reached out, like, how did you get to this suspect? Talk about the J6 pipe bomber. I'm reading through the criminal complaint. How did you go to map out his data, to go find out where he was, pin his cell phone down? And they said, oh, more evidence coming, but there was no evidence that was revealed.
What about the 300 federal agents? What about all those agents that were there that probably still work for the FBI? Nobody gives a crap about the pipe bomber. J6 was a scar on the psyche of America. Like, it was a really messed up psychological operation that needs to be reverted. And we've lost an entire year on this. You can say the Trump administration has got another 3 years. I don't think it does at all. I'm looking around and again, looking at a Democrat +3 generic ballot, it's probably as good as you can expect. And I don't know if that's enough for Republicans to win. I think Republicans actually could win in this environment if they did stuff. But you can already see the establishment knives are out. I mean, all of these, like Reagan this, and like DeSantis is posting really rational stuff like right now. The establishment is going to reassert itself and the political capital is going to be gone. But if he wants to win again, it's got to be like it was back in February and March. And that is literally us waking up in a cold sweat every morning, trying to keep up with the frantic news because everything's coming crashing down. That's what it's got to be, and it's not right now.
It's not right now. Mark Mitchell, thank you for all the incredible work you do at Rasmussen Reports. We appreciate you, as always, taking all of the polling questions that we want to know more about and breaking it down for us on our show. So thank you, Mark.